my last video, so working on things that I can work on while I'm out of commission, and one of those is standing for a farrier. So this is Emmy. She's a rescue, just spotted saddle horse. She's been through it. She has scars on her pasterns where she's very obviously been sored, and sored by someone who had no idea what they were doing. So she tolerates, oh my goodness, Penny, no, don't eat my cookies. She tolerates everything. So she tolerates everything that we do to her. She's very much like one of those horses who has learned helplessness. So she tolerates, but she's not confident with anything, and she's nervous and prances around. And I just feel like that's something that we can improve on to make her a happier horse. So the first step in all of this is helping teach her to stand still when she's tied in my trimming area. So right now, like, you can see her body language. We are like kind of sniffing all over. We're a little anxious. We're not standing calm. It's a little bit like watching paint dry, training this, but I think it's super important, and it makes a huge difference for grooming, for tacking, for trimming, for any vet care, anything where they have to stand tied. So we'll work through it a little bit. First thing, I'm going to have her stand so she's square onto my tie rack. Come under here. And I'm going to mark that and give her a cookie. Come back. Come back to this side so y'all can see me. But basically, I'm going to reward when she's not sniffing me for treats, when she's looking straight forward, when she shows me signs of relaxation. That was better. So like licking, chewing. I want her to look away from me when I give her treats too, so she's not mugging me. Good there. You can see how I'm kind of shaping this behavior. So first time, just looking a little bit closer to straight, reward. And then that last one, she was much better. So there, that's great. And I've not specifically worked on this with Emmy yet. Again, like I said, I've been lazy, so I've neglected some of these basic things. But you can see how quickly she's picking up the concept with the clicker. So next, for hoof handling, we just want to have her pick up a foot and reward that. So my cue is running my hand down, and she knows this really well. We have worked on picking feet up. There's a lot of different ways you can teach the pick a foot up from scratch. Most horses have been trained some way initially, so you can kind of work with what your horse already knows, or you can teach from scratch. I'm not going to go into the teaching from scratch today just for time's sake, but the way we would shape this is I really want her to pick it up herself. So that was better. The first time I picked it up, and I was okay with that because that was our first try. And that second time, no, she didn't pick it up as high, but she did pick it up herself rather than me picking it up for her. So we'll try that again. And that wasn't quite it, so I'm not going to reward that one. That was much better. That gets treats. Good girl. So now she's being a little pushy again. We might go back and train that stand still. Stand with your face forward. She smells the treats in my pockets. So once she ignores me, I will give her a treat. Back to foot. And then we're going to work on building the duration of time that she can hold her foot up for, and also have someone like messing around with it, because that can be kind of a scary thing for horses. So have her pick it up. Good girl. Again. So pick it up, and now I'm going to hold it. Want her to pick it up. Good. I'm going to hold it. Good. And then I'm going to go get my hoof pick. Next step. Pick up. Good. She was a little shifty while I did that. For now, I'm not worried about that, but that's something we can work on shaping too. Keeping her standing nice and still and not, you know, shifting around while we mess with her feet. She's curious about the hoof pick. I'm okay with that too. Let her check it out. she had a little trouble with that. We're just going to go back to rewarding picking it up right away. I talked about this last time, this idea of like sandwiching easier things around a challenge. So actually getting in there and picking it out is a harder challenge than just picking her foot up. So I'm going to ask her to pick it up and then pick it out and then go back and forth. Sorry, someone just pulled into my driveway. Pause. So once she's comfortable with me picking up her foot, handling it, picking her foot out, the new challenge is then having it handled in the way that the farrier is going to handle it. So that's often quite different from how you would handle it day to day picking out feet. Your farrier might have a stand that they use, or they might put the hoof kind of between their knees. So those are all things we need to get the horse used to. So I have a stand I really like to use, but the same principles will apply to just putting it between your knees or something in the same way the farrier does. So with a new piece of equipment, I want the horse to be comfortable with it. I like that she's sniffing it. She's not scared of it. So that's good. So we'll just let her check it out. And then something I really like to do with horses who are a little more nervous is build like a start cue into these kinds of things where we have to do something like to them. So I'm going to ask her to target and put her nose on the stand. And that nose on the stand is going to be our start cue for putting her foot on the stand. So I'll pick it up, ask her to touch it. She picks that up super fast. She was already wanting to touch it, so that was an easy one to teach. So now, the next time she touches it, I'm going to place it where I would put it next to her. When she's ready. Good girl. And then I'm going to put it here. So next, we're going to add picking up the foot to this little sequence. Good girl. I'm moving pretty quickly with this because she's staying really calm. She's not worried about it. We have used this stand before. Like I said, Emmy's just kind of tolerated everything. I don't know that she's been real confident with it, but she is at least familiar with this, so we're able to move a little bit more quickly. If your horse are seeing this for the first time, you might be taking a lot longer between these steps, and you may need to go back to some easier steps before you try a new challenge, just to keep the horse engaged and keep them from being stressed out. Sometimes if you keep asking them for something harder and harder and harder, they get frustrated. I mean, you probably would too. Every time you do it right, you then have to do something harder. That's not very fun. So keeping them interested by going back to what's easy is a really good idea. Good girl. Good girl. And then I want her to relax. Good. Something that we struggle with when trimming is that once I get her foot on the stand, she picks it up and flings it around and won't relax into it. So that's, I think, going to be our biggest challenge with this, and what we're really going to have to work on the most. And if you think about Emmy's history, you can understand why she wouldn't really want to fully relax and give someone her foot. Good, there. Because she's had all kinds of terrible things done to her feet in the past. Didn't really touch it that time, so I'm not going to count it. For just a little more time. She did great. But you'll notice she took a little longer between attempts that time. She wasn't quite ready to go. And that's what the beauty of the start cue is. The horse can tell you when they're ready. You're not having to guess. Sometimes that's a hard thing to know, when they're ready for more or when they're just hanging out. There, she's trying to take it away from me. I'm just going to wait till she relaxes. Give it back. There, I didn't even have to ask her for her foot. She knew. It was beautiful. That was great participation from Emmy. You can see how now we're building this pattern. She knows what's coming. She can be confident because she knows the routine. We're not throwing anything new at her. And she can participate in it and help you. It makes your life so much easier too. And your farrier's life. Your farrier's gonna love you for this. Good there. So this is probably where I'll stop with Emmy today. Maybe do a couple more, and when we get a really good one, I'm going to end on it. And then we'll progress from there, adding, you know, touching her hoof with the rasp, nippers, all that stuff. And building the duration that she can stand comfortably with her foot on the stand. But she's made good progress today. I really like how much she's helping me pick her foot up. That one was great. I'm going to end on that. Now you'll probably have to repeat the exact same process for the 3 other feet. So that is, you know, something to take into consideration. It's not going to transfer necessarily right away from one foot to the other. And some horses are going to have more trouble shifting their weight onto one foot or the other for whatever reason, be it physical or mental reasons. But horses who've had, you know, traumatic experiences with their feet being handled, or even if they have arthritis and have some pain, you know, teaching them that they're in charge of the process and they have some autonomy and some say in the matter can really help with some of those behavioral issues and make it easier to get things like hoof trimming done, because even if the horse is miserable and hates having their feet picked up and handled, it's something that they have to have done for their well-being, so it's something that's really worth putting the time into. So Emmy did great today, and I'll be back again with, you know, the next steps once we get to that point.